What's up, everybody? Eternal God of Possibilities here, back again. Continue. What if Deku was a descendant of Sesshomaru? Now, last time we left off, All Might gave Deku his hair so he can receive One for All. After a few minutes of jogging to speed up his digestion, as they arrive back at the beach, something happens with Deku. He falls down to the ground in pain. A huge gust of wind happens, and he turns into his full demon dog mode. Which, while that was happening, they both All Might and Zuko in his giant dog form grabbed the attention of nearby people and newscasts and police. And while that was happening, Izuku met the vestiges of One for All early. And that's pretty much it for the recap. Let's get to the video, starting now. Now, as Deku sees the group of black figures with glowing white eyes, he sees another one separate from them, which the group of black figures are staring at the lone figure while pointing at it, which then the group of black figures with glowing white eyes turn their head and point right at Zuko. But little to his knowledge, they're actually pointing at something behind him, which is when Izuku hears a voice. How annoying. You who has inherited the blood of a great dog demon is losing control like that pathetic half-breed. Which then Deku turns his head to see a completely clear image of someone wearing a white kimono with armor on it, along with flowing silverish whitish hair, with a huge fluffy white scarf around to Deku's knowledge, a huge fluffy white scarf wrapped around this mysterious figure right shoulder. As right before he's about to say something, the unknown figure says, "Stand up and claim your inheritance. Reclaim your body or forever be a weakling." You hear me, boy? Which then Deku shakes his head, which he tried to speak, but he still couldn't. Which then we return to All Might and Demon, uncontrollable, rampaging demon dog Deku, which he's still in his demon dog form. The one Sesshomaru can transform into. Well, as that happened, as a couple minutes passed, a huge crowd of civilians, police officers, news broadcasts, and news media, and along with some other pro-heroes, come to try to see All Might, as well as the pro-heroes are trying to help them, which All Might tells them to stay back. Which after a few minutes, he starts to cough up blood, but he says to himself, "Damn it, if I don't finish this soon, I'm gonna de-transform." Which All Might, during the entire fight, he's been trying not to hurt Izuku. He's been knocking him off guard, but not trying to permanently harm him. Which he could, After they both land on the beach again, which, as Deku's about to swipe at All Might with his front right paw, claws, something happens. All Might can see a quick but huge surge of energy surge around Izuku. His dog demon form. Then a huge puff of smoke appears. Well, actually, starts to de-transform, but then a huge smoke cloud appears from out of nowhere. As Izuku de-transforms back into his human-like form. All Might can see this, but the huge smoke cloud which appeared, is mostly covering the obscuring the view of the civilians, police officers, and other pro heroes, and along with the news media, which they did record All Might fighting Deku in his dog form. So yeah, as he's de-transforming, he looks somewhat different. His hair's longer, he's a little taller, along with his hair almost turning completely whitish silverish, but with one key difference, that he still has the tips of his hair is still green, along with his eyes still somewhat looking like his original eyes, but he's completely naked. But he also has the same, I forgot the name of it, but I remember that Sesshomaru's little scarfing was actually a part of his body, if I remember correctly. So Deku gained that same thing, but is around it's in the same location as Sesshomaru, actually. So he has the scarf thing. I keep forgetting its name. It starts with an M, but yeah. As he's returns to his human form, Deku falls to his knees and passes out. Then with 3 black cloaked figures appeared right next to Izuku, with All Might saying, "Who are you? What's going on? Who are you?" One of the cloaked figures say, "No need to worry, All Might. We're here to help. He explains that that he'll tell him later, but right now we need to get the young master." He says young master, referring to Izuku, somewhere safe, without the public eye seeing him. Which All Might, before he can reply, the black cloak figure says, "If you want to see him, just meet him back at his his home." Which the 3 disappear along with the completely butt naked Izuku. As disappear, the cloud disappears as well, with the news media and police officers and other pro heroes coming down to ask All Might some questions. And they ask, "What was that? Was that some sort of villain?" All Might somewhat just says that no, it was some kid who was training his quirk on this beach. He lost control of it, and he turned into that thing. And the news media was saying, so you're helping out a kid who was lost control of his quirk? And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then a couple hours later, Izuku wakes up in his house wearing some pants. Wakes up with a huge headache, and then realizes his senses are heightened even more. which he didn't notice that his hair's gone longer, and thinks to himself, "How long have I been asleep?" He starts freaking out, which then he hears his mother talking, and gets up out of his bed and also then notices the weird white scarf thing around his shoulder. He tries to take it off, but realizes it's a part. Somewhat feels like it's a part of him. He then leaves his room and sees his mother talking to 3 cloaked figures, which their hoods are down. Which the cloaked figures reveal that they have green skin and pointy ears, which they explain to both Inko and Inko explains to Izuku on who they are, which she finally has to tell him that she's been having some people keep tabs on him. These people are part of she explains to Izuku that these 3 are part of somewhat like the side branch to our original family, or at least to the bloodline of our ancestor. They protect after we completely lost our demonic, or at least the demonic power of our demon blood. They've been protecting us from the shadows, just in case something tried to harm us. They are descendants of our great ancestor's loyal servant, she explains. And one of the figures walks up to Izuku and bows to him and says, "My lord, we are descendants of our great ancestor, Lord Jockin, who served your ancestor for many, many years." Izuku's somewhat nervous at this because he's never had someone call him Lord or anything. So yeah, as that continues, explanation, they say that they want Izuku to come with him so they can train his newly acquired awakened demon powers, which they've been keeping tabs on Izuku for months now, which they also know about One For All. They were that fertile to also overhear All Might and Izuku talk about One For All. So yeah. They know the specifics. But before Izuku could give answer, he tells them that they have to wait a little bit. I need to organize my thoughts. They do what he says, and all 3 of them leave out the window. Which, after another hour, All Might knocks on his door in his skinny form. Which Inko is also informed on the situation with One For All and all that. Deku then explains everything to what happened to All Might. All Might's shocked, and yeah. Now, before we continue on with Izuku, let's shift perspective. Rewind back a couple hours. As Izuku turned into his giant dog demon form, we see a man in a dark room right next to a window, looking at bright, beautiful sun, which then he smells and senses something amiss, as well as looking at the sword around his waist, the left side of his waist started pulsating, which the same thing is happening with Deku's, with the Tenseiga and Botsaiga. And the unknown figure says, "What the? That's something I haven't felt in a long time. Feels like, no, it can't be. Sesshomaru?" As he says this, he looks down at his sword, which he says, "Tenseiga." And he then looks out the window, thinking, what the hell's going on? Which, that's gonna be the end for the video. So yeah. Hope you, yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. Hope you like, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to help promote, share my videos with your friends. Also, tell me what you think down in the comments for what I did at the end of the video, the cliffhanger. So yeah.